Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming back to the Storm Chasers, a hockey podcast, sort of nightly reaction podcast to the Stanley Cup final games between the Canes and the Golden Knights. I'm Sandro. I'm here with Gino, and we're just going to do a quick sort of check in and breakdown of game two. Gino, off the rip, how are you feeling?
Like we all need to take a breath.
Oh my gosh.
But
No
what
kidding.
a game, what a series this has been. Constantly thrilling. The momentum changes. Oh my gosh. I will tell you, for most of that game I was shaking in my boots. So what an exciting finish for the guys. And I mean, I think there's a lot to talk about when it comes to the adjustments they made and what really worked out for us in this game. But what were your thoughts?
Oh my gosh. Well, I like similar to what you said. Take a breath, right? I was so anxious between the first and second period. I had to go take a walk and get my mind off the game. It's so hard. You texted me and you said it. It's so hard to watch a hockey game from behind.
Yeah, I don't know if there's I mean, I've watched other sports, but I think hockey's unique in the way that the anxiety it sheds and the highs and the lows being as high and as low as they are. I think and the way it can change on a dime too, like we saw tonight. Honestly, like we saw in game one, just ah,
It's
man,
that 2-0 lead in hockey, right? Like that's the saying. Worst lead in hockey is 2-0. So I think that rings true in
you
this
texted me
series.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you texted me that going into the third, and I was like, oh man, I don't know. We just looked like we were not playing our game quite
what
how we wanted to. Maybe a little better, but
what else did I text you in the third? What did I say?
what did you say? I
I
don't know.
said
Let me
I
go back
said that
and look.
I said the hockey gods got us, man.
Hockey gods got us. Well, really, I think the big adjustments or the things we called out going into this game, and honestly, the things I was still scared about in the first two periods were top line production and our power play. And wow, did both of those come through to really bring this one home for us.
Oh my gosh, yeah, and like so the top line, I think that's where we start, right? They caught the most flack after game one just because they were notably absent. They were absent in a big way coming out of game one. So Aho, Svetch, and Jarvis, and I will say, like, I know sort of you had mentioned that they got to do something, they got to do a little more and find the net in those first two periods, but they looked substantially better from start to finish tonight, and I think that's encouraging, and I think it's even more important that they were able to like be the ones that scored the game winner in OT. Especially Jarvis, get a little ghosts out of his head, so he's not really seeing those, and hopefully he can settle in. No,
Yeah. I
he
mean,
beat the pressure tonight. So now just go have fun, play hockey.
yeah. I mean, we called him out after game one, right? I think that was my pick for our worst player, and he really stepped up tonight. Um, and I mean, when you get the OT winner, what can you really say? I do think, man, scoring on the power play, Seth Jarvis, getting those top guys going, not just scoring on the power play, but also that was our second power play in a row we had scored on. I think having this kind of momentum going into game three on the road would be absolutely huge for the Canes.
It's massive. It's massive. Um, so yeah, I mean, is there anything you want to jump into? Like, noticed anything from first or second periods, or do we go straight to the last 10 minutes of the game where the Canes just took control over everything?
Well, I think you have to mention the first two periods. I mean, Vegas was in control for a lot of it. I think the Canes were playing a reasonable style of hockey when you looked at the shot differential. But Vegas was definitely capitalizing on the chances they were getting. Freddie was a little scary in the beginning, but really redeemed himself there in the third period, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I, you know, I think the first two periods were not our best, but like you said, for whatever reason, down 2-0. Now that's the second 2-0 lead blown in the first two games. We did it in game one, and they do it here in game two. I think, you know, I really like the way it shows that our veterans came all the way through, showed composure, didn't let the guys, bury themselves too deep. I think a lot of the goals tonight were Ghost, showing up and Stahl showing up. And I think those are guys that have, you know, done this before, been in the playoffs a lot, and they know what it takes. And to see them come through and shine in a game like this is just so huge, especially when I feel like the whole narrative has been praising that for Vegas
Yeah.
in this series. So,
Agreed. I think one of the big, I guess, events that did happen in that first period was the McNabb puck to the face. Obviously, a crazy
yeah,
scene. Went down
hope
hard.
he's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. That sucks.
It's,
You don't like to see that.
yep.
That being
And,
said, it's gonna force Vegas to sort of have to adjust how they play defense. They were saying tonight, like on the broadcast after he left the game, they were really playing with four defensemen, and it's like that's gonna be a tough recipe when it comes to winning the Stanley Cup.
yeah, I mean, I hope he's okay. He's their maybe top two D man, right? So that's a huge loss for Vegas. And, for them, I'm sure they're hoping he gets a speedy recovery. I have no idea what the injuries he is particularly dealing with are, and how long that will keep him out of the series, if he'll be able to return or not. But I think for Vegas, that's going to be a huge pivot. And I don't know who their seventh D man is, but you know, I mean, losing one of your top two is just never good. And late in the playoffs like this, it's injuries are bound to happen. It's a hard fought game. Everyone's fighting for every inch, so hopefully he's all right. But
Yeah, scary
Vegas
stuff.
is definitely gonna have to figure out their D. Yeah.
All right.
What else did you notice? Anything else? I mean,
Well,
or do you
so I
want to
think
just jump to this third?
I I would love to jump to the third. I just one thing, before we hopped on here, we saw the Rod Brindamore portion of the post game press conference, and he sounded pretty sure that the Canes won the first period. And I think my inexperienced hockey brain, and obviously a hockey brain that is nowhere in the same universe as Rod's, I that wasn't necessarily my takeaway from the first.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've seen that kind of view from Rod a lot, though. I mean, throughout his time in Carolina, I remember a couple years ago when we got swept by Florida, he blew up for saying like, "Oh no, we didn't get swept," even though we got swept. And I think that just shows how like strong-willed Rod is. I mean, he also said in that press conference like we've seen it many times before here in Carolina where we outplay teams in the first period, but we're not rewarded for it. And so I can't necessarily say that you won the first period, but you certainly played a style of game that you'd rather be playing. But you're down 1-0, so it's kind of hard to say you take that period as a win.
Yeah, agreed. Um, Outside of that, I guess my last takeaway from the first and second periods is that Brett Howden's a problem, right? He's been a problem all playoffs for everyone. So it'll be really
Hey, players
interesting.
being hot.
Yeah, yeah, it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see how we're able to isolate his play, and sort of try to shut him down. But he is on a heater.
Yeah, and I mean, you also have to credit, I think, Marner and Eichel. I don't know exactly how much they've showed up on the stat sheet, but the chances they're generating, I think, especially for guys like Howden, they're just creating amazing chances for these guys to finish. And when you're hot, you're hot. And I think we have a couple guys too, like Stankoven, Hall, Blake, that have kind of been hot too. And they've kind of, I after game one, I was a little scared we might not be able to see them, really shine in this series too much, but we really did. I think Stankoven was the 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 spark I think that the Canes needed. Really, I think it lit a fire under them, and we clearly saw how much momentum that created for the Canes late in the game.
Yeah, yeah, agreed. I like what you said about Jack Eichel, right? Like he is having one of those playoff runs where, like you said, he's not showing up or lighting up the stat sheet in any way, but you could just tell that like when Jack Eichel has the puck, it's a secure, it's like a security blanket thing. Like, he's gonna make the right decision, and I think you really do see that in how Vegas passes the puck when they're on the offensive zone. So no, I do respect like finding players that are doing that no matter what team they're on, because it's really cool to see how like in the big moment they're able to make space and take advantage of their skill set. Well, maybe not producing in the statistically like uh, favorable way, which is scoring points and getting goals.
Yeah, I mean, I think we do have a little bit of that in like Ehlers. We've
Hundred
finally
percent.
started to see that this year, right? But I still think when you look at our rosters, we are missing those top pieces. And I know we were talking about it when we were down, kind of thinking about if this team can't pull this off, what are the pieces that are missing, Because when you're down in the series, when you're down in games, your deficiencies become a lot more obvious. I think teams like Montreal saw this year. I think Buffalo is going to do, fine things that they're going to change in the offseason. For Carolina, I think that's the kind of player we want to look for to add to the roster in the offseason, whether we win or not this year. I think, the cool thing about the Canes is no matter how good we are now, we only have room to continue to improve. And so I really like the energy of this group right now, and I really like the way the team stuck in there and responded to the game one loss. And I think all of the things that got going for us here in this game, going into the next couple games, is going to be really monumental.
Yeah. I think the what I texted you is like I want the Canes to have an assassin on their team, a guy where if you get him the puck, he's going to kill the game. He's going to take control and send everyone home. And like you see how impactful that is with Seth Jarvis's overtime goal. And if that's something that he can become and just be like that guy and like use this goal to push him forward and settle himself in and be the guy that could just produce goals, that would be incredible. And I think if you don't have that on the team, you go and you try to get it with the wealth of cap space and draft capital that the Carolina Hurricanes have. Not necessarily excited to see anyone go or anyone get traded away, but I do think if you have that like deadly offensive threat that everyone circles and they still get it done, that would be incredible.
Yeah. And not to stray too far from the game recap, I'll just make one more quick note. I think the cool thing about the Canes is I don't think we're going to have to give up too many personnel, at least,
Yeah.
on our active roster, given, the way our cap space and our pick capital is lined up. So, like you said, I mean, it would suck to see people go, but I think fortunately, with the way the Canes are and the way they've really been careful with contracts that we're not going to have to say goodbye to too much to get something really cool in return.
Yep. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna do a quick breakdown of the scoring in the third period. Right, like this is the exciting part of tonight's game. So at 10 minutes and 20 seconds, you have Logan Stankoven open the scoring where he just creates his goal and makes it happen. He goes and he takes it off the boards and sort of gets it in using traffic in front of the net. Then Mark Jankowski at 12 minutes and 46 seconds gets a goal off of an awesome play by William Carrier. And then you have Jordan Stahl on the power play goal. And then Mark Stone building on the momentum of 6 feet or a 6-on-4. They go ahead and they tie it up. And then in overtime, bang, Seth Jarvis. Gino, where do we start?
I think Stankoven, I mean, we talked about it a little bit. It was the spark that the Canes needed.
Yeah.
Like you said, it was self created. And Rod had said it in the interviews after the game that tonight's win was really accredited to a lot of individual efforts
Yep.
that ended up stringing together really well for us. And I think Stankoven kind of led that way tonight. So that's why he got third star of the game. And just, I think that was the most critical goal of the game, actually, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I agree. It sort of I think gave us the opportunity to sort of take a breath and like be like, all right, we're in this, and like get the team going, making them feel like they can do it.
Yeah. And then I guess moving on to the Jankowski goal to tie it up, I, you know, Robbins, or was it Carrier who
Yeah.
made the play? I think it was Carrier made the play. incredible play. And I think that was also one of those individual efforts where we just saw him lay absolutely everything out. It was a desperation. He was like falling to the ground, reaching as far as he could with his stick to get a stick on it, beat the Vegas player to it. He gets it over to Jankowski, who finishes it off. He's been great. Our fourth line's been awesome. The depth scoring's been great. We know that about Carolina, though. So, what a huge goal for those guys to tie it up.
Yep. Yeah. Agreed. And then Jordan Stahl, 2 nights in a row, man. He gets like the big goal, like the goal that keeps us in a game or puts us to the point where we're winning a game. That's huge. Your captain stepping up and getting those big time goals and big time moments.
Yeah, it's funny because I don't think of Jordan Stahl necessarily as, someone who is very valuable to a power play. When, I think about line management, he strikes me as more of a penalty killer. But I think the way that Carolina's power play has struggled, he brings a really refreshing style. He's a big body who sits up front, and I think both of his goals have been tips. So, I mean, he's just taken away the vision of the goalie, and we have shooters who put a lot of shots on. So, that's a good recipe for scoring goals, and I think that's really provided a rejuvenation to our power play.
I like it though. I love seeing Jordan Stahl on the power play because you're able to get control over the puck. He's so good at faceoffs. Just putting him out there for the first 20 seconds and getting him to win a faceoff and allowing you to get set up and then pulling him off the ice. That's huge. That's huge. You're able to establish, a really effective power play approach in the offensive zone, and they can't really do anything about it because you have a guy that is always going to, or well, not always, but a majority of the times win the faceoff for you.
Well, and yeah, I totally agree. And he's also a leader. I think a lot of you listen to a lot of the Canes players in interviews, and they all say, Stahl's a great leader. They all look up to him, and when he's producing, when he's out on the ice, I think everyone's playing just a little bit better. So, I think kudos to him. Huge goal to put us up in that period. I think that really stole a lot of energy from
Yeah,
Vegas. I
the
think that's kind
stadium
of
was
one of those
going
moments.
crazy too.
Yeah.
It
Yeah. I
was
mean, it was not,
insane.
yeah, we completely took the energy from Vegas and just put it all into the building, and it was incredible.
Yep.
And unfortunately, they do come back to tie it there with a little bit of an unfortunate play from Slavin, but
Yeah, unlucky.
yeah, you definitely want your top players to be showing up in the big moments like that. But at the end of the day, things are going to happen, and Vegas is a good team. So
And what
bounces are going to
matters
go our way.
most, like what
We,
matters
we
most,
won.
is
We
being able
won.
to pick it up
Absolutely.
and like pick up that player, and that's exactly what happened.
Exactly. So, hopefully they look at that and try to figure out what went wrong and how they can prevent that kind of thing from happening again. But,
Yeah.
for the Canes, I loved the response after that. I felt like overtime was relatively in control.
Oh, 100%.
Vegas maybe had a couple chances, but once we got that power play, you could tell they were super determined to close this thing out.
Yep. Agreed. Agreed. And then just going on to that Seth Jarvis overtime winner. What a thing of beauty. He wired that in there just under the blocker of Hart. It was really cool. The in net camera view of that goal was super cool.
Yep. I think it was a beautiful shot, and thank God that one went in because you don't want to give Vegas any more chances in overtime.
No.
And someone I want to point out on the power play, also going back to the stall power play as well, was Ghost. Ghost looked incredible. Ghost has looked incredible the last two games, aside from maybe one mistake in game one
That cost
that
the game.
maybe cost it a goal. Yeah, but to be honest, when you look at the overall output of goals and how he's showing up and how he's helping the power play produce. Rod talked about it. He's like the quarterback of that power play line,
Yeah.
and he's showing a really really good ability to find the right plays and get guys going. And I think that is huge. So shout out to Ghost. Shout out to Jarvis. What a goal.
Yeah.
What a way to put this one away.
What a game, man! It's just so much easier to go to bed at night after these Stanley Cup Final games, knowing that there's a win.
You're in it. You're in it.
You're in it. It's all good. Also, you want to know something crazy that I get to be doing for the next game. I'm gonna be
So
watching
you're
from a
gonna
cabin. It's gonna be incredible. So yeah,
watching from a cabin, eh? Oh
yeah,
my
yeah, yeah.
goodness.
It's gonna be a glorious time. But yeah,
Oh,
hey, just want to say thank you all for listening.
yeah.
Like, subscribe, comment, interact with us, follow us on whatever platform you're watching or listening on. We have Twitch, Spotify, and YouTube. Um, Gino, go ahead and take us out of here.
Yeah, guys. Hey, game 3 on what is it, Saturday? So
Yep.
look forward to that. Canes fans, bask in the win. Canes players, get ready for war.
You guys are
And
legends.
let's go. Yeah, let's go take game 3, boys.
Bye out.